We've come to the third habit of Mr. Stephen Covey, and he calls it first things first. To distinguish that what is important to that what's urgent, and that's what it's all about. And it has to do a lot with the first two habits, especially the end in mind idea, because if you have it clear what the end in mind is for you as a parent, then it's so much easier to distinguish the important things from the urgent things. And it's always wise to focus on that what is important to you, because that leads to the end in mind. First things first. So let's assume that you live a busy life as a couple, as parents. You both have a full-time job and you have 3 kids that go in daycare, and your own parents take care of the kids one day in the week. And even you are very busy and you're able to keep all those balls high up in the air, you are even able to squeeze in some time for yourself. So you and your wife, or you and your husband, are pretty satisfied with your life as a family right now. However, there's a slightly hiccup in the family, because your oldest kid doesn't really like school so much. He hates to make his homework, and you are a bit afraid that it might affect your other 2 kids. So there's something you have to do with it. It's urgent to make his homework for the next day. So that's the short-term goal, but is that also important for you? So what would you do? What would you do to change the situation? I think the importance here is to see if you can help him to develop a growth mindset in which learning becomes a joy instead of a fight or struggle. And that might require that you invest a bit more time to spend with your kids, to truly understand what they are at in school and in life, and sit down and invest a little bit more time, because that time might very well give you the insights and direction to get them back on track again and unleash that joy for learning and develop that growth mindset. So the short-term goal, the urgent in here, is to fix his homework assignment for the next day. The importance, however, takes a lot more time. And it's a much longer stretch, a much longer activity and interaction to start with. So I think there's what Stephen Covey means with first things first. If you have the end in mind clear, you will focus on the importance of developing that growth mindset instead of making his homework assignment for the next day. And then he continues, and he's talking about management. So we have been talking about leadership in the very first 2 habits, and now he switches to management. And management is the consequence of leadership. Management is where you put leadership in practice, something like that. I understood from his chapter, and he says the biggest motivator for managing, for outsourcing an activity, is to provide trust and confidence. Trust and confidence. A relationship that is filled with trust and confidence creates the circumstances for a leader to outsource activities that leads to the end in mind goal. And that's the idea, to intrinsically motivate your children or your staff to do the things that lead to the end in mind. And it's what I experienced, I think, with my 3-year-old daughter. When I bring her to the Kita, I put her in a position for herself to decide when I can go, so that she's intrinsically motivated to be alone, to be separated from me. And I do that again and again and again and again. So in any situation with my daughter, when I say to her, you decide when I can go, or you decide to go back in that car seat to be strapped because you didn't like it, you decide to go back. Because I do it over and over again, we build a level of confidence, and she will say, you can put me back in that seat now, Daddy, or you can go now, Daddy, or whatever situation there is. If you build that level of trust and confidence, she will tell you when she is ready to do whatever. And that builds a very intrinsic motivator in that little 3-year-old daughter of me. I think that these angles on parenting strongly relate to the first things first idea of this third habit of Stephen Covey.